Good morning, folks. It is now 5:29 a.m. Monday, July 17th, 2017. I'll need to show the date. This isn't relative to... It doesn't necessitate it. Excuse me. I've been sick for a long time, so I was born with lung disease, so I have to clear my throat a lot. Sometimes in the morning sniffles, so I'm not trying to be gross. I just can't help it. So, thank God. Excuse me. Okay. Thank God for what? Just a legitimate question. Thank God for what? Why? And who is this God thing? You can make a mockery out of religions. I'm not here to do that. This is a serious discussion. There are many different religions that are here and have been here for, honestly, this situation with this God thing has been going on since the beginning of time. Well, the beginning of having lives, which is actually where people would think to start measuring time, but a lot of people that can't see far enough back actually think that the beginning of the fifth age is like the beginning of time period, and it's not. The beginning of the fifth age in the earth is, well, I'd have to get my book to look at it. I don't remember these dates, and I'm not going back for it. The timeline ages is in book number 2, the creation book number 2. If you go to Amazon.com and go Essex creation, excuse me, the first 2 books will come up there. The third one's in the process of being written. The first book is creation, its beginning and your origin. And then the second book is creation, its journey evolving into paradise. And the third book is creation, walking through the door. It's about the new creation that's coming. That's almost all it deals with. It's the same old creation, but it's being reformatted. Even the bodies you go in to have lives is being reformatted. But it's time to have a serious, calm discussion about God, this God thing. Excuse me, that felt better. Who am I to talk about this? This life, when I was very young, my father thought it would be good for him, and maybe me too, for me to get involved in religion. So I was put in the middle of it, didn't have an option. Well, there was a second option, but I didn't like it. So anyway, I was in the middle of it, knee-deep in Christianity. I can feel love. At that age, I said to myself, I can feel love, I can feel some good things, but I don't understand this religion thing. Where is this all-loving, all-powerful God that allows all this stuff to happen? I mean, why, if he exists, why is everything the way it is? And what about the female? This God thing, what is it? Oh, it doesn't have a gender. Oh, really? Then why is everything male and female? To give us bodies to have lives in, to give us a body to have a life, you know, to create us. In His great wisdom, He created the coolest thing in the world other than Him, and that's us. That was kind of basic feeling behind it. And I was like, this just doesn't make sense. So I stayed with it as long as I could, and then I finally decided to go ahead and get the hell out of there and tempt the wrath of my family god, Pops. Excuse me. If there's an all-powerful God, then it can do whatever it wants, and it's all powerful. It can do this, does that. It created everything. Okay, if it can create everything, then it can create it the way it wants, or at least fix what's not right in it. And that being the case, why do we have disease? Why do we have stillborn babies? Why do we have parents burying their children from war and everything else? This thought process can't be blamed on your parents and their parents and their parents. You can go way back to the beginning. You can't blame anyone for having had that thought process because it was put in you. I've said I'm the oldest thing. Well, I was made, and what I am inside, call it Arae, was made, the toughest little part of him just stuck in his body. I was made to serve and protect. And then Lily was made, she's very loving energy. Now it's loving, has strong fortitude, but a ton of love. In order to understand that completely, it takes a while. It's a simple thing, but when you're dealing with something you've never had the opportunity to look at before, it doesn't just sink in right away. It goes against the information I've given you. Just in book 1 goes against every religion that's ever been there. It tells you what came first, the chicken or the egg, how life came on this planet, the truth about our evolution, the Adams and the Eves. It breaks it down. In the very beginning, they made Arae to serve and protect, but the emphasis was on the protection. We're going to go there in just a minute, why they wanted something to protect them. Okay, if they're all powerful and everything, that doesn't make sense. If something's all loving, why would it want you to praise it? What's the sense in that? If you have good parents, they don't ask you to get on your knees and bow and praise them before you go inside the door. It's not a loving thing to do. So if they love you so much and it's so perfect, why the hell are they doing that? A lot of ministers used to tell me growing up, they say, well, you see, God is so intelligent that we just can't understand. I said, okay, we're stupid and that's incredibly intelligent, but you know what I understand is when I get beat up by something, get hit by something, knocked across the room, yeah, I don't like that. And it's not good for me, okay? Because I'm an intelligent being, I know when something is wrong, and when I can't do something, I understand I don't need to be knocked across the room. So why's that going on? What's up with the pain and the suffering? How come it takes 9 months for a woman to go through labor? So, there are good moments in life. There have to be. But if you're realistic and look at what happens, life is about strife, and there's a whole lot of abuse in it. Why would a perfect, loving God do that? And according to what's written in all these stupid religious books, God is perfect, all-loving, and all-forgiving. And that's why he made hell to punish you forever when he's pissed at you. What? The stove isn't on, but don't put your hand on it, it'll burn you. Okay, you need water to drink to maintain your life, but don't drink water. What? I mean, it's simple things. But because we're pushed into that thought process, we never release it. There's this thing called Satan that wants to attack you, and evil, and it does, and blah, blah, blah. Really? Well, if there's a perfect, all-loving, all-forgiving God that's all-powerful, why the hell is it letting this go on? If my brother's beating on me, and my mom and dad allow it, they're not too cool. That doesn't show love. Oh, but you just don't understand the ways of Almighty God. Yeah, and what's with the male God? It's not a female, it's just a male. What's up with that? Excuse me, is that thought process relative to the fact that this is a supposedly male-dominant society? I say supposedly, it used to be, but we're getting away from that, and that's good. People, if you don't have equality across the board, you have nothing. You have to have a strong foundation in order to build a house, a home, a building, and in creation. You have to have a solid foundation. Excuse me, a solid foundation to move forward and have equal, fair lives for everyone. Excuse me just a minute. Okay, I know it looks funny when I do that on camera, but I don't care. It'll make more sense to people 100 years from now than it does now. I would never come up to one of these videos not fully dressed, but I want people to listen to me, not run away. But I'm not worried about what I look like. I'm not worried about trying to sound perfect. Folks, I'm giving you information I want you to have because I know how much it'll help you. Well, how come I know something that y'all don't know? What I am inside is incredibly powerful. It was the thing that had the very first life, and it wasn't on this planet. It's on a planet called Arae. And that was long before the first souls were ever made. Just to lowball the figures, I had well over 4 trillion lives. That's lowballing it, and let's leave that alone. Before the first soul was ever, the first wave of souls was created, it took 5 waves, just releasing souls, and there was a lot of time in between. So what is this God thing? What are you told? Different religions say different things. What was there before God? Where did God come from? God always was. No, not true. So what's going on? What's really happening? This is just one of the reasons I've been trying so hard for so long to wake people up. I say for so long, it's I guess 8-9 years or something like that, I don't know. 2008 I started finally waking up strong. I could always do things. Didn't understand it when I was young. I thought everyone else did, and then I found out real quick that it was demanded of me not to do it anymore. When I was 5 years old, from time to time, when I was excited about someone calling, as soon as the phone rang, I'd tell my mom and dad before they answer the phone that when they answer the phone, I want to talk to so-and-so. And then one time, I've said this before, my mom looked at me and she goes, "How do you know who's on the phone?" I didn't even pick it up yet. And I told her it was her sister, my auntie. Well, she picked up the phone, guess what? But I was so excited about it, about talking with her, that my parents knew, okay, this is real, whatever it is. And that kind of freaked them out, especially being quote-unquote religious people. So, religious people aren't bad people. There's more beautiful, loving people in religions than there are problematic ones. It's a thought process they were pushed into, and they used to be forced into it. So anyway, what is this God thing? How come no one can talk to God? I guess that's why we have priests. And I remember talking to a priest, said, what does God sound like? So, well, it's a kind of knowing. I said, oh, okay. I know certain things, not to say certain things because I'll get smacked. When I do certain things, I actually get a physical pat on the head, like, good boy. I know I need to eat. I know I need to get home before a certain hour. Remember, I was a little kid doing this, so it's... Where did male and female come from? I had so many questions. I heard a choir sing once. It was in a church I was part of. And as they sang, I could see the energy come out of them. And it was a lot of love, a little bit of purple here and there. It really looked nice. Like I said, when I was a kid, I could always see things. But my actual power was not released. Excuse me, it was being held up, compressed, like down to my ankles, below that. They had love in their hearts because they had love in their hearts because they're good people for the most part. They just wanted to say thank you to something that they knew was involved in stuff. A lot of people get involved in religions out of fear. You go to church out of fear. One of the saddest things for me, well, the saddest thing for me is the abuse that happens to everyone and everything, especially the animals, and that's being remedied already. Other than the physical bodies, it's been handled. It's not even 10% of it left. There's different fields of spirit, types of spirit. That's in book 1. Anyway, we know we have a feeling inside us. It's usually solar plexus. Gut feeling that there's something else out there, but we don't know what to feel about it. Something's there, but I can't see it. How do I know it's there? I don't know. I just have this feeling, this gut feeling. Well, there was something out there. It was the original first being that literally split itself into 2 different parts and became male and female. It did that before creating anything. And then the 2 parts of it, mostly the male, created the second. They came from the first dimension. They were 5 energy fields came together. That was happenstance. There were 4 in there, growing. One of them was getting kind of closer to coming out and had some really serious issues. It's dead now. It was destroyed by what the original first being, male and female, originally made to protect them, everything they build, and use it to beat up and subdue anything else that ever comes out of that first dimension. They were the first ones out. They were the original first being. When beings are grown out of happenstance in the first, there were 4. Now then it went down to 3, and then there's another one that's coming together, starting to come together. So there's still 4, but there was 4, then it went to 5, then one of them was taken out. The amount of heavy particulate matter that's inside this first dimension, when these 5 energy fields come together to create sentient life, sentient energy, which is spirit. The more heavy particulate matter that gets involved in that reactionary situation, the more lower frequencies that the being has. And we think of that as negativity because it will be more negative. It's not actually under zero negativity, it's above it, but it's lower frequencies. We call it percentage of negativity. It's just a thought process. What it actually is lower end frequencies. The more something has, the less hard energy it has, almost all the time. Almost every single time. And there are many, 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 many trillions of beings. So it just so happened that 27.5% of its of its spirit, of its energy, of its frequencies were lower end frequencies. If you have something that's high vibration and then you stick it in mud, like get a tuning fork, smack it on something, you hear that beautiful sound, then go stick it in some wet mud or sand. What happens? Lower frequencies, okay? So when you take the heavy particulate matter and add it to an energy field being built, what happens? Lowers the frequencies. The lower the frequencies, the more of an issue they usually are. And the less heart they have. So this first being, quite simply, just became alive, became sentient through a natural process. Thank you. Through a natural process of 5 different energy fields coming together. The little flicker with the lights. It was important for you to have this one understanding. This thing called God, it was 5 energy fields that came together, that the energy just, they work together, and eventually it becomes sentient. There's no magic to it. Things we don't understand, we like to call magic. That's cool. Whatever name anyone has for something is fine. But that's how it came into being. And then as it started to develop and mature and evolve, it became stronger and stronger, more intelligence. It had already pulled in all the heavy particulate matter that it needed. Very little got added to it. And there's a reason why it's called the first being, because it was. And one of the first things to hit it was loneliness. It wasn't male or female, it was the first being. And it moved in and out of the first dimension, went outside of that. It just, there's nothing. It was alone. It became sentient, self-aware, developed even more, got stronger, and then it realized the next thing. It was alone. Do you think there wasn't hell? There is no actual hell place, okay? It doesn't exist. The only thing even close to that is the other side of more negative people, more of the gathering of low frequency people, and it's literally located in the second dimension, which is 1.5 feet to the right, 3 foot up, but at the first moon off of Uranus. It's called Miranda. I was told that, and I looked at it, and it looks like 2 big moons that came together and collided. I mean, just look up Miranda, Miranda. I've had that information for many years. Anyway, so that freaked it out. It kept evolving, getting stronger, and getting more and more lonely. It got so lonely that it literally separated itself into two different parts. Not exactly in half, but different. Why? To give itself company. It was desperate. So being the first thing, becoming aware, being the first thing aware anywhere, it became somewhat mentally sick. It became distraught, distressed. That's a horrific thing. If that hadn't happened, it wouldn't have turned out to be what it was. You wouldn't have this creation. You would have a nicer one. And this creation is in the process of changing. So, anyway, so it split itself into two different parts. One was a little bigger than the other, a little stronger as energy goes, but different frequencies. That was the birth of male and female. That's what started the male and female thing. These new beings coming out, they don't need to split themselves into male and female because they have company. So what's that going to do? That's a story for another day. Those that come from the first being will have their own place to live as they are. And if they want to mingle with others from these other new beings, they'll go to a different dimension for it. Everyone has to have a home to relax, to rest. And what you are inside is spirit, sentient energy. So anyway, then the two parts of the original first being started planning. You know, they actually formatted their energy to make sure that it would always, when they release their energy, it would always separate almost immediately. As soon as it's separated and thinned out, it's like taking water and throwing it over the hood of a car that's just been waxed. It'll separate in these little balls. That's what the energy was. What that's what it'd be. And then as soon as it's separate, a little ball, it vibrate and pull apart into male and female. Not 100% male and 100% female, different percentages. The only exception to that is angels. Angels are all male and female both. They never separate. So anyway, this basically all this stuff, a lot more is in the books. Okay, I'm taking the time to explain it a little bit differently, but the information is there. It's a driver's manual for your life. Excuse me, but it tells you how your car was built. Your car being the body that you're in, but also your spirit. You are not the body. You're a sentient energy spirit within the body, and there's another one in there with you. Spirit of the planet. It came from the planet 11.25 million years ago on this planet. For the Earth. Small pieces of Gaia. That stuff's in the books too. So anyway, the original first being male released a ton of its energy. A lot of it. Just, I shouldn't say release. It pushed it out of itself. It cranked it up. And it literally made the second dimension. The second dimension is not part of its energy. It created it with its energy. It released its energy to go out everywhere, poof. But it was still attached to him. It made a second dimension. Because they were going to get together, release part of their energy to make new beings. And then after that was done, then mostly the male, again, made the third dimension. And that's the physical realm. That's one we live in. They took heavy particulate matter and from the first dimension that was hanging around, plus everywhere. There's a certain, don't know what to call it, dimension, thing, that's everywhere. Okay, now that I can't give you the particulars on that in the human body, and the human brain can't understand that anyway. And the first dimension is where energy fields inside this original dimension came together and then created a separate dimension. So anyway, created the third dimension, and then they got together, not making themselves one. They fixed this so they could never go together again, because if they did, what would happen? They'd be lonely again. That freaked them out. It made them sick. It freaked me out too, okay? If I had to go through that, it'd be a bitch. So anyway, like two hands come together, they come together with their energy. And then they release a third of it. Energy and spirit. You know, spirit with the energy come, and spirit ascension energy, but there's also energy that comes off of that spirit. So anyway, in the human body, the spirit ascension energy comes basically out of your head and goes like this. Then the energy comes out to the side. Those people that have really strong heart energy, sometimes the energy coming out to the side is stronger than what's going through the top. But that's because their spirit's so strong it's coming out this way too. Anyway, so they release a third of their spirit. That's the one gift that the original first being, male and female, gave you. So, other than that, you are what you are. When they let out the wave, this initial wave where they took stuff and started cleaning it, they made different fields of essence, more source spirit. That's where Lily and I came from. And then later, once essence started going out, having lives, and other parts of source. What source energy is? Source energy is energy from the beginning, from the first being that's already had 97% of the negativity removed from it, lower frequencies removed from it, and it still has all the fields. It has everything else. It has all the other fields of essence in it. And soul is human soul. There's Fey soul, and there's Femen soul. Human and Fey energy is so spirit and energy is so similar that when the original first being, male and female, tried to separate the two of them, they couldn't do a very good job. So anything that's over 10% Fey or human, when they have both of them in there, is considered Femen. Fey and human. Now that's kind of getting to the side of what a lot of people understand, that the first part of what I told you is enough. But that's what soul and spirit is, and it's not near as strong as the essence is. But the essence needed to be stronger because the original first being, male and female, were learning how to run lives. They wanted to know how much abuse. They wanted to know how to do it best, and how much abuse each type of spirit could handle, and how much of it. Why? The more abuse they gave that spirit while in the body, when it came out of the body, if it was just a little bit of abuse, when the spirit came out of the body, it went poof. If there's a lot of abuse, when the spirit came out of the body, it went poof. And they want to grow everything as big as possible, like putting something on steroids, grow it as big as possible. And then when it was time, which is the end of the fifth age on Earth, December 21st, 2012, they had all these other universes. They're going to take the largest soulmates, put them in this universe, and then have them release a third of their energy. If they weren't abused hard, just for number's sake, let's say they released 1 million beings. But if they were abused harder, they would release 1 billion, say. So there's a whole lot more beings being released. Now, what's the advantage of that? More prayer machines. They really want to praise and prayer. If something wants your praise, number one, it's not worth it. Number two, it doesn't deserve it. And number three, anytime you praise anything, you give away your own equality. Let's look at it another way. If something is worth your praise, number one, it wouldn't want it. Number two, it would make sure you stopped, because it'd be wrong. Things are simple, folks. I know when it comes to seeing things, I'm kind of alone. There's others I've made stronger that can see a whole lot more right now, but no one can see what I do, and that's not a arrogant, conceited statement. It's a fact. The first thing to have lives was Lily and I, my better half. That's back when we were one complete person, each of us. We were huge, and the strongest part of us was put in these little bodies, and we were beat to hell. Then after about 300 million lives together, then the human and Fae essence were actually released. After 100 million lives, the original first 100 million lives, animals were put into the picture. There were dinosaurs looking things, reptiles. All they have is the energy from the planet in it. They were made immediately. They were there on Gaera's planet before we got there. It's important for you to know that. Anyway, so, and that's why the chair cracked so hard. I was thinking I need to say it, and started saying it. It was a smack. Caught my eyebrow. So anyway, folks, there's the God thing. There's never been a devil or anything. The original first being male and female wanted more praise machines from having been made so lonely. You won't find this in other books anywhere. You know, feel free to look, but you would get more out of your time just relaxing and going inside yourself to open yourself up to start using all your abilities. Excuse me. Y'all are getting a lot of help doing that. In the original first angels, they were servants. The original first being male and female, they served them. They were made so they'd be good servants, and also they could go into your bodies and run you. So the original first being male and female, together, what they did, that's what everyone's been calling God. They didn't understand, though they still don't now. And it was out of their sickness that they had to have more company, but they had already gotten to the point where they wanted to praise. We don't just want company, we want you to praise us, and you don't matter. Where they found out just how much to abuse you and then give you enough happiness to where you wouldn't go running around committing suicide at 10 years old. Some people are really strong and really tired of the crap and are atheists. There's a lot of folks that have 27% lower frequencies and more, and they're atheists too. They just don't want to believe in a God. Then there's a lot of wonderful people who believe in a God or something like that, and that's because they got love in their hearts, and they want to do something with it, and they don't understand because they can't see. That's changing. Giving you the information, explaining things to you of what's real, especially about yourself, your abilities, they're not gifts. And people fearing death. Oh, crap. Older people afraid to die, giving all the money to a church. That's the saddest, sickest thing that's in my head at the moment, okay? There's worse things going on, but that's horrible. People should never have to go through that. The ones you love, why would you want them to go through that? Why would a loving God do that? Allow it. Why would it do it is the right phrase, because that's the one that made everything. And this God thing, the original first being, both halves, gone, dead, completely deleted. No mas. Fini. Zip. And the first angels, their servants, almost all of them are dead. They're gone too, deleted. Things are changing towards what they should be, and it can't happen overnight. If you, as I used to build racing engines, high performance engines for the street, I could take a brand new engine, tear it apart, rebuild it properly, paying great attention to the things that mattered, and that a 350 Chevy that put out, say 240 horsepower, I could take that thing, tear it apart, and rebuild it and put out well over 400 horsepower. But anyway, when you build an engine out of new parts, just off the shelf, it doesn't take that long. When you have to take a running engine, tear it apart, excuse me, you have to look at how it's working before you tear it apart. Then you tear it apart, inspect every piece. Then you put it together with the parts you know that'll work. That takes a lot longer. Well, that's what it's going to be. That's what it's like. His creation is becoming something new. And there's nothing to praise. We're all family. And we did all come from that original first being. For that, I have a memory of thanks. But for the sickness and abuse that followed it, pursued us through all our lives, being told, look what you're doing, and they didn't care, they were destroyed. December 21st, 2012 was supposed to be about Praise Mother, Father, God. World War III was supposed to just get started and then be stopped at the last moment. So all kinds of heroics and stuff that were involved. A lot of people understand the 11 is a day of disaster. Why is that? Well, because look, 911, look what happened here in America. 311, look what happened in Tokyo. That's affecting the whole planet, radiation poisoning. That's why the 11 stood for the original Mother Father. Sad. All that was set up to happen. People have come to me, talking with me in consults when I used to give them, and saying, Jay, man, I mean, almost all of them, almost everyone. The people that have come to me, or they were told to, by their spirit guides, all other kinds of cool people, animal lessons, big time. Everyone has animal lessons guides all the time. They help us, they're incredible. So they were sent to me to talk to find help. Our lives here in the third dimension are run in the second dimension. Every little detail, no. Can it be? Yes. It's just the major things to keep everything moving a certain way. Well, there's chaos on the other side. There has been since halfway through 2013. The chaos started 2010. That's when the fight started between Arae and the original first being, male and female. Anyway, without dwelling on that kind of stuff, they're gone. Things are changing, but thank God for what? There is no God. I thank the original first being for having released parts of itself to create what we have so far, but not the way it did it. But as far as the beings and everything, the release of them, yeah. Sadness towards them, regret. I have sadness relative to them regarding what they went through, being the original first being. But that's it. They had issues, and after becoming aware of them, they wouldn't do crap about it. They kept abusing everything, so what they made to protect it and everything else finally killed them. So thank God for what? There is no God, but I thank the original first being for the one thing it did, release us. And I'm sad that it went through what it did. And that's it. Don't ever praise anything, because you're putting it above you, and nothing is better than you, and you're no better than anything else. How else can you have equality? I'm no better than anyone else, but I've never wanted to be either. It'd be nice to, if you play baseball, it'd be nice to hit more home runs. It'd be nice to play better than what you do. Better works when you're talking about improving yourself. And, you know, to do something better than someone else, they do something other, you know, they'll do something better than you. I mean, it's like a trade-off of sorts, okay? That doesn't make you more important than them in the big scene, which is creation itself, the big picture. So that's enough about this. But I need to say that I've talked about this stuff, not quite all that much, but talked about it before, but that was when I was in the middle of fighting it. And when you're in the middle of fighting, you can't stop to think and be considerate about all the angles, because you're busy fighting. Things are nutty, but they're going to get better. They already are, but there needs to be a immediate change, a takeover on the other side. Things are just chaotic. There's too many individuals trying to do something for themselves or trying to help others, and no one knows how, because no one ever ran a life, ever, other than the original first being. 2013, they bunch of stuff tried to start running lives, and excuse me, it's much better than it was back then, but it's still chaos. It'll get fixed. So now, essentially, we're on our own. Good. Sad, but good. Sad that we're here. And this, sad that we live in this predicament, that we exist in this creation, but it's going to be made better. So, sometimes people have an easier life than you. Usually that's because the past few ones they had were so bad they needed a break. They're no more loved by a God. There is no God. There's no devil. Never was. All there was the original first being, male and female. It was the original first being, made itself male and female, and they're angels. Something bad happened to you, they did it. They had to make sure your energy was, your body was abused while the energy was in it enough to make you grow as much as possible without committing suicide. I remember I used to hear, God will never give you so much and give you more than what you can handle. What do you call suicide? I mean, come on. If you accept something blindly, total blind faith, you're going to bang your head into a lot of doors and walls. I don't expect anyone to take what I say blindly. If I'm telling you what is. And then you think about it when you want. It's my job to give you the info. It was my job to do what I've done while here in the body. There's no need to dwell on that. It's not my job to make you do it. Folks, that's the God concept. And this is also who you are. You're all equal. incredible beings capable of much more than you're aware of, and that's what I've been trying to do for a long time, to make you aware of all this, especially yourselves and your abilities, not gifts, abilities. Folks, love you, man. Take it easy.